Life often tests us in ways we never imagine. One morning, you wake up, look at yourself in the mirror, and everything seems normal. You smile, you stretch, you prepare for your day. The same sun that greets you every morning still shines brightly outside your window. But little do you know, that same sunlight, that warm golden touch you love so much, may be silently changing something deep beneath your skin. It starts so small, a freckle, a mole, a tiny dark patch that looks harmless. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and you forget it even exists. Then one day, you notice it looks different, maybe darker, maybe larger, maybe uneven. You think, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just age or stress or the weather. But when you finally decide to check, the doctor looks at you with that calm, serious face and says the words that echo in your heart forever: you have skin cancer. In that single moment, your whole world stops. The noise disappears. Time freezes. You can't hear anything but your own heartbeat. Your mind fills with questions. Why me? How did this happen? What does this mean for my future? And yet, deep inside, there's another voice, quiet but strong, whispering, don't give up. This is not the end. Skin cancer. Two words that can shatter peace and build fear in seconds. But this story isn't about fear. It's about fight. It's about courage. It's about rediscovering the meaning of life through pain and purpose. In the United States alone, over 5 million people are diagnosed with skin cancer every year. It's one of the most common forms of cancer in the world, and yet one of the most preventable. It doesn't care about age, color, gender, or status. It can happen to anyone. It happens silently, often without pain, until it suddenly changes everything. Meet Sarah, a 32-year-old teacher, a wife, a mother of a 5-year-old girl, someone who loved the sun, the beach, the sound of waves, and the laughter of children. She never thought the same sunlight that made her mornings beautiful would one day threaten her life. She always used to say, "The sun gives me energy." But she never realized that too much a good thing can sometimes turn against you. It all started with a small mole on her shoulder, something she had seen for years but ignored. Then, one summer, it began to change color. Her friend, a nurse, noticed and told her to get it checked. Sarah laughed it off. "It's nothing," she said. But months later, that nothing became the start of her fight for survival. When the diagnosis came, Sarah felt like the ground disappeared beneath her feet. She couldn't stop crying. She wasn't afraid of death, she was afraid of leaving her daughter behind. That thought broke her more than anything. But that same love became her strength. She said to herself, "I'm not going to let my daughter see her mother give up. I'm going to fight, not just for me, but for her." And that's where real courage begins, not in hospitals or medicines, but in the heart. The treatment journey was long. Surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. Each day felt like a mountain she had to climb. There were days when she couldn't get out of bed. There were nights when she couldn't sleep because of pain or fear. But every time she saw her daughter's little drawing on the wall that said, "Mommy is my hero," she smiled through the tears and whispered, "I have to keep going." And she did. Cancer didn't just test her body, it tested her soul. It took away her energy, her hair, her normal life. But it also gave her something back, perspective. She began to see life differently. She said, "Before cancer, I used to wake up and rush through my day. After cancer, I wake up and thank God for another sunrise." That's the beauty of pain. It breaks you, but it also rebuilds you stronger. Doctors told her that her type of skin cancer, melanoma, was dangerous but treatable if caught early. She realized that if she had listened to her friend sooner, her journey could have been easier. That's why she decided to speak out, to tell others to pay attention, to protect their skin, to never ignore the signs. She started sharing her story online, posting videos, writing blogs, talking about prevention. Her message was simple: love your skin. Protect your life. And soon, her voice reached thousands. People began thanking her for inspiring them to go for checkups, to wear sunscreen, to live more carefully. Sarah became more than a patient, she became a symbol of strength. Because strength doesn't mean you never fall. Strength means you fall 1,000 times and rise one more. Skin cancer can affect anyone, young, old, rich, poor, but the one thing it cannot destroy is the human spirit. And when that spirit decides to rise, even the darkest diagnosis can't stop it. Sarah's journey didn't end with her diagnosis, it began there. The hospital walls that once felt cold and unfamiliar soon became her second home. Every nurse knew her name, every doctor smiled at her courage. She started keeping a diary, not of fear, but of gratitude. Today, she wrote, one day, I smiled even when it hurt. That's progress. She learned that healing is not just physical. It's emotional, spiritual, and deeply personal. Some days, she felt like giving up, when the pain was too much, when her reflection in the mirror showed scars instead of beauty. But then she'd remember her purpose, to live, to teach, to inspire. One afternoon, during her therapy, she met an old man named George. He was 68, a retired firefighter, who had spent most of his life under the sun without ever thinking about skin protection. His face was marked by years of sunlight, and his arms showed the damage that came from never using sunscreen. When Sarah asked him if he was afraid, he smiled and said, afraid? No. Regretful? Yes. I fought fires all my life, but never realized the fire that sunlight could cause inside me. That moment changed Sarah. She realized that awareness could save lives, far more than medicine alone. People needed to know that skin cancer wasn't just a disease, it was a wake-up call. A call to respect the body, to protect it, to cherish the gift of life. So while she was still undergoing treatment, Sarah began speaking at community centers, schools, and local events. Her voice trembled at first, but her message was powerful. Don't wait for pain to teach you value. Protect yourself today. She told stories about how ultraviolet rays silently damage skin cells. How something invisible can cause something irreversible. She taught people the ABCDE rule, a simple way to recognize dangerous moles. A for asymmetry. B for border irregularity. C for color change. D for diameter larger than 6 millimeters. And E for evolving shape or size. Her talks were emotional. People cried. Some hugged her after. One teenage girl once told her, because of you, I went to the doctor. They found something early. You saved me. And in that single moment, Sarah realized that her pain had found purpose. Every scar on her skin now felt like a story of survival, a mark of strength. She said, I used to cover my scars. Now I show them proudly. Because they tell the world, I fought and I won. Months passed. Slowly, her hair began to grow back. Her energy returned. Her smile was no longer forced, it was real, radiant, full of life. She started jogging again, painting again, living again. But this time, she wore a hat, used sunscreen, and stayed aware. She wasn't afraid of the sun anymore, she just respected it. She often said, the sun didn't destroy me. My ignorance almost did. Sarah's story reminds us that awareness saves lives. Every person who listens, checks their skin, or goes to a dermatologist is one step closer to safety. Because early detection is the real magic, it transforms fear into survival. But beyond awareness, her story speaks of something deeper, the will to live. That unshakable human spirit that rises even when everything feels broken. When asked how she kept going, she said, I had two choices, to be a victim or to be a warrior. I chose to be a warrior. That's what life is all about. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond. So, if you're listening to this today, whether you're healthy, recovering, or just afraid, remember this, you are stronger than your fear. Pain may visit you, but it doesn't get to stay forever. The same sunlight that can harm also helps life grow. It's about balance, care, and awareness. Sarah didn't just survive, she transformed. She turned her pain into power. Her scars into symbols, her silence into a message. And that message continues to echo across the world. Protect your skin. Love your life. And never, ever give up. Because no matter how dark the diagnosis, there is always light waiting beyond it, if you have the courage to fight. Sarah's journey had now turned into a mission. She was no longer just a survivor, she had become a voice, an example, a symbol of strength for millions who silently fought their own battles. Her story began appearing in newspapers, her videos went viral on social media, and soon she was invited to speak at international conferences about health, awareness, and mental resilience. Standing on stage in front of hundreds of people, she would always begin with the same words, I am not here to tell you I beat cancer. I am here to tell you that you can too. The room would always fall silent. You could feel the energy shift, hope filling every heart. She spoke about how people often ignore the smallest signs their body gives, a tiny spot, a change in color, a small irritation, things we brush off as nothing. But she reminded them, your body whispers before it screams. Listen to it. One day, a man named Daniel reached out to her. He was in his 40s, a construction worker, with no history of illness. But after watching one of her online talks, he went for a skin checkup, and discovered an early-stage melanoma. He messaged her, "You saved my life, Sarah. Because of your words, I went to the doctor." She cried reading that message. Not out of sadness, but because she realized something profound: even pain can become medicine if shared with compassion. Sarah began collaborating with researchers and doctors, raising funds for free skin checkup camps across rural areas. She said, "People die not just because of cancer, but because of lack of awareness." Her mission was clear: to make awareness louder than fear. She recorded short motivational videos, just her voice, soft music, and real emotion. In one of them, she said, "If you're scared today, remember this: fear is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It tells you what matters most. Don't run from it, learn from it." Her followers grew by thousands every day. People from around the world sent letters, some from hospitals, some from their homes, some from beaches where they sat under the same sun, now wearing sunscreen because of her. But behind her public smile, Sarah still had private battles. The fear of recurrence haunted her. Every new mole, every ache in her body, brought a rush of anxiety. But instead of hiding from it, she spoke about it openly. She told her audience, courage doesn't mean you're never scared. It means you keep walking even when fear walks beside you. That honesty made people love her even more. Because she wasn't pretending to be perfect, she was real. Months later, she launched a global campaign called Shine Safe. It encouraged people to embrace the sunlight with protection, hats, sunscreen, awareness, but never to fear it. She said, "The sun gives life, but respect keeps it safe." Her message was now not just about survival, it was about transformation. She said, "Cancer took away my comfort, but it gave me clarity. It broke my body for a while, but it built my spirit forever." At one of her biggest speeches, she shared a line that became iconic online. The scars you hide today might be the story that saves someone tomorrow." Those words resonated deeply. People tattooed them, printed them on shirts, painted them on hospital walls. Her story had gone beyond her, it had become a movement. And through it all, Sarah remained humble. She still volunteered at hospitals, holding hands of newly diagnosed patients. She didn't talk to them about medicine, she talked about hope. She'd whisper, "It's okay to be scared. Just don't stay there forever. You'll find your light again." That was her gift. She could turn fear into faith. Sarah knew that healing is not just about removing disease, it's about rebuilding belief. And she taught the world that no diagnosis can define your destiny, only your decision can. So, to everyone watching, she would always end her talks with this final message: protect your skin. Protect your soul. Life is fragile, but so are diamonds, and look how beautifully they shine under pressure. Sarah's days had become brighter, not because everything was perfect, but because she had learned how to find light even in darkness. She once said, "Happiness isn't about having a life without pain, it's about learning to smile through it." Those words became her daily mantra. She continued her mission tirelessly. Her Shine Safe campaign spread across more than 20 countries. Billboards carried her face with the simple message, "Your skin matters. Protect it." Schools began teaching students about sun safety. Doctors praised her courage, and survivors called her an angel of awareness. But Sarah never saw herself as a hero. She said, "I'm just someone who refused to stay silent." Then, one winter morning, during a follow-up appointment, the doctor noticed something unusual. A new lesion. A shadow of fear crossed her mind. Tests were done. Days passed. The waiting felt heavier than ever. Finally, the doctor called her in. The cancer had returned. It was like the world froze for a moment. All the progress, all the speeches, all the smiles, suddenly felt like they were being tested again. But this time, Sarah was different. She didn't cry for long. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "Okay, round 2. Let's do this." She knew that the fight wasn't just against cancer, it was against despair. Her followers soon found out, but instead of hiding her condition, Sarah decided to share her journey once again. She made a video from her hospital bed. Her head wrapped, her voice softer, but her eyes glowing with determination. She said, "This is not the end. This is just another beginning. If you're going through something hard right now, don't think it's punishment. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe life is teaching you strength before your next big purpose." That video went viral again. Millions of views, thousands of comments, and waves of love from every corner of the world. People said her courage gave them strength during their own battles, not just with illness, but with depression, loss, failure, and heartbreak. Sarah had become a symbol, not just for cancer patients, but for anyone who had ever faced pain and kept moving forward. Even as her body grew weaker, her spirit grew stronger. She continued to write daily messages online, short but powerful. Pain passes. Purpose stays. You can be scared and brave at the same time. Don't curse the dark. Light a candle. She began mentoring young volunteers who wanted to continue her work. She told them, "Don't make my story about sadness. Make it about awareness, hope, and life." In her final public talk, she appeared in a wheelchair, wearing a bright yellow scarf, her favorite color, the color of sunlight. The audience gave her a standing ovation before she even spoke. She smiled and said softly, "You see these scars? They used to scare me. Now, they remind me that I'm still here. Still fighting. Still shining." She paused and looked at the crowd, her voice trembling but strong. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we face it. Life is short, too short to hide, too short to waste. Protect your body, love your soul, and never forget, you matter. Tears filled the room. That day, thousands promised to live differently, more carefully, more gratefully, more bravely. Sarah smiled one last time at the audience and said, "When I'm gone, don't remember me for what I lost. Remember me for what I found, purpose." The applause that followed was endless. People didn't clap for her illness, they clapped for her spirit. That night, she wrote her final diary entry. "Maybe I wasn't meant to live forever. Maybe I was meant to shine just long enough to light someone else's path." Her words became eternal. Weeks after her last speech, Sarah's health declined. The world watched as she faced her hardest days with the same calm courage she had always shown. Even from her hospital bed, she continued sending voice notes to her followers, saying, "Don't cry for me. Smile for yourself. Life is too beautiful to waste in fear." Her team carried her mission forward. The "Shine Safe" campaign had now become a global movement. Celebrities, doctors, schools, and millions of ordinary people joined in. Across the world, people started sharing photos with hats, sunscreen, and the message, "I shine safe, because of Sarah." A few days later, Sarah passed away peacefully, surrounded by her family, holding her mother's hand. But something extraordinary happened. The day she left, thousands of people posted her quotes online. Social media was filled with her voice, her face, her message. The world cried, but it also smiled, because she had left behind a light that could never be put out. At her memorial, her mother read her favorite quote, "Scars are not signs of weakness, they are the proof that you fought for something that mattered." That day, people didn't mourn, they promised. They promised to live as Sarah taught them, with gratitude, protection, and courage. And soon, research centers started naming awareness programs after her. One hospital in California opened a Sarah Foundation for Skin Cancer Awareness. Her legacy began saving lives every single day. Doctors noticed a massive rise in early checkups. More people were catching cancer in its first stages, meaning more lives were being saved. Her dream was coming true, even though she wasn't there to see it. One of her friends once said, "Sarah didn't just survive cancer, she changed how the world looked at it." Her story became part of school textbooks, health campaigns, and motivational talks. But more than that, it became a message of hope. Today, if you walk down the street on a sunny day, you'll see people wearing hats, applying sunscreen, and maybe even whispering a silent thank you to a woman they never met, Sarah. And maybe that's what true immortality is, when your story keeps saving lives long after you're gone. So, to everyone listening right now, remember this: you don't need to be famous to make a difference. You don't need to have a perfect life to inspire others. Sometimes, your biggest battles become someone else's greatest lessons. Take care of yourself. Check your skin. Protect your health. But most importantly, protect your spirit. Because the world needs your light. And no matter how dark it gets, remember, the sun still rises, and so can you. This isn't just a story about cancer. It's a story about courage. About you. About us all. About never giving up, no matter how hard life gets. So stand tall. Keep fighting. Keep shining. And as Sarah said in her last words, be the sunlight in someone's darkness.